Good morning. How's it going? I don't know how good the music volume is, but I'm just gonna suspect it's fine. Everything working okay on YouTube side? Seems good. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so I did get some time yesterday to actually work on the game some more. And what I did was I simplified all my, what do you call them? The architecture, those initialization functions, everything that was built just to get the game started. Right, so I normally had a bunch of bootstrappers and world builders and stuff like that. I don't know why I made it that difficult, so I just deleted a bunch of it and rewrote it. It obviously broke the game in a few ways, so then I spent a few hours just fixing it. But it is, I think it's better now. So the main thing that I like about this now is I have this one game entry point that does everything for me. I even built a little logging system. Okay, I say I built one. I just asked ChatGPT to build me a log system. And this is just essentially to get all the information from the simulation log into the Unity console. Right, I could have done it a different way, I suppose, but I like this. It's nice and simple. It just spits it out into Unity log with the line numbers and all that stuff. So, if my mic is it a good distance? I think it is. Okay. Yeah. What I also did, and this was a big thing that made it very simple now, is I made this static class game, which is essentially just a reference to certain things like my simulation manager, definition database. These are all simulation based things, but having it here means I can access it very simply, right? And that turns out is a very good thing. I don't have to struggle so much accessing things like my definition database. What I normally did is whenever I built anything, I would pass the definition database through. So for instance, let's say a module needed definition database. Well, the modules are part of nodes, right? They slot into nodes. Nodes are built on a structure. So what I had to do, and structures are built by Vulkan mostly. So I had to give Vulkan the definition database. Then I have to give the definition database from Vulkan to the structure I built, to the structure to the node, from the node to the module, and then the module could access the definition for a resource, for instance. Which was dumb, but now it's just a global thing, which is just so much cleaner. I like this much more. But yeah, let's close all of this, all but pinned, and let's see. I went and I made a massive checklist of the next steps. Right, so this is the important one that I want to work on today and for the next few days, and that is changing some of Vulkan's functionality. Okay, so first of all, I need Vulkan to actually use fuel. It doesn't do that currently, so that's just a mission that I haven't built in. I wanted to move and transition between regions correctly. And then I want a proper anchoring system. Okay. just so that Vulcan anchoring system, deployment system, whatever the case. But the idea is that Vulcan should anchor into a system in order for certain things to be possible. Right, and basically the things that should be possible are things like mining, logistics, and maybe some other stuff. But it's stationary operations, things I do not want Vulcan to move for, right? Because it might break something else, like logistics. If you, for instance, let's say there's a bunch of ships traveling towards Vulcan, right? If Vulcan moves, then the ship's trajectory will be incorrect, and then they have to correct for that. But that's not how I manage logistics in this game. Ships kind of just fly straight, right? They don't have massively complicated maneuvering systems. So you point them in a direction, you shoot them full speed, and then they brake and arrive. So Vulcan moves to a different system entirely. I don't want the ships to chase him around. So that's kind of the idea. I don't know if maybe Vulcan could still send ships, but I have to think about that. Then I want a cargo transfer system. So I want cargo to be transferred to and from Vulcan when it's anchored without using the logistics ship. And this is specifically in a region, right? So if you go and you anchor at a region, or you dock at a region, or whatever you want to call it, probably docking thing. When you dock at a region, you want to be able to do quick cargo transfers between Vulcan and that region. And then Vulcan can fly away again with all the additional cargo that it picked up, or with empty cargo because it delivered a bunch of stuff. So Vulcan can itself be a delivery mechanism. And I think this is going to be the early game of logistics, where you don't have ships and all this good stuff, but you have Vulcan and you can manually move stuff around until you get to a point where you can actually make your own ships. And then these ships can do a lot of this automatically for you, right? Cargo transfer is that one, not this one. Okay. Yeah, and I also was thinking about some resource sharing stuff with Vulcan, but I'll still have to think about what that means, actually. Essentially, what I'm thinking is when you are anchored inside of a region or docked, things in that region should be able to access Vulcan's storage for free, essentially. And that could be resources, and it could also be modules and things like that, right? So we'll get to that one last. I think first one, just getting the fuel consumption thing to work. Okay, so let's open up good old Vulcan and let's see what happens there. Okay, so I think all the movement and fuel consumption things happen is not in the regional Vulcan, but in the solar system Vulcan. Yeah. And what I'll do as a guide, I'll open up my ship. So I implemented somewhat similarly. Okay, but this is essentially the method that I want to see. Start travel. It's called start system travel, but whatever. Same difference. Okay. So essentially, this is some of the stuff I need to think about. How far am I going to travel? So the distance. Honestly, that's not too difficult to calculate, so we can do that. There we are at the total mass. Now, Vulcan currently doesn't really have a mass. And the way I think about Vulcan is it's this big thing that you can upgrade throughout the game. So technically, its mass could increase over time, depending on the upgrades and the additions you've made, right? So Vulcan can grow as this massive structure, which means your mass could grow as well. And on top of that, you also have storage on Vulcan. Most other buildings with storages do not move, but Vulcan is special. It's a structure with storage that can move, so we need to make sure we implement this properly. Okay, so it is a special... Vulcan is a special case, so it's fine. We'll make it special. So let's see. Do I want to change something in the definition of Vulcan? I passed through the structure definition, but I don't actually assign it to anything. That's interesting. What exactly does the structure definition contain? So we'll look at the scriptable object structures Vulcan. Okay, so it's credit upkeep, power draw, build time, sprites, stuff like that, recipes. Okay, so it's not really anything that's super useful as far as a structure definition goes. So this is the standard structure definition. Yeah, I think we need an additional data set for Vulcan, and let's think about this. I have this Vulcan upgrade SO where, you know, it's basically a bunch of information about the costs for upgrades, so the resources, the amounts, the upgrade time. So maybe we can use this one. But let's just call it the Vulcan scriptable object, right? Let's just keep it generic because I want a lot of data stored in this thing. I think so. So yeah, we can have all the upgrade data, right? So we can call this header upgrade data, right? So that's fine. We can have that, but should also have other things. And then let's make like nice headers. Okay, so this is the general stats. Right, so what I'm thinking here is stuff like, and I think public is fine here, right? Because all my other, I'm gonna have to start hot reload because I don't want this to happen every time I come on. Yeah, public is fine. It will serialize correctly. Okay. So, okay, so we'll have a whole mass. Now let's think about this. So we'll do whole mass 1, let's say, for instance. And, we'll just make it like, I don't know, 250. We'll come back to this, I guess. I'll probably make a spreadsheet later and then we can update this, but 500, 1000, right? So that's our whole mass. Then that's basically the 3 upgrade tiers, essentially. Yeah, okay, so this upgrades the structure as a whole, right? So then from there, we'd probably want a way to upgrade the engines and stuff like that as well. Yeah, that's a whole other discussion that I think I should have. But anyway, whole mass is a good start. We can also have fuel use. Okay, so this is just the amount of fuel burnt on a big travel. Right, we'll just start it off at 250. We'll probably change this somehow in the future, but okay. And then we have public int. It's called engine. I think that's what it's called. So for the calculation, there should be a float, yeah. Yeah, if you look at my calculation for cruise speed, it's the fuel use times the delta V over total mass. Right. And so that's basically what that is. So this is also something I was thinking of upgrading over time. So the idea would be that, as you get upgrades or research or whatever, your engines could actually become more efficient, have a higher delta V, etc., etc. Yeah, I should probably not have this hard coded here like that. That's quite a magic number. So what we could do is maybe public float now, maybe just something like that, and then we put the engine delta V in here if I want to change that. There's another place I need to change that. I think it's with the logistics itself. Let's go and check quickly. Or is it with shipment? Might be on the shipment side. Yeah, here's the magic number again. So this should be ship.engine delta V, essentially. That's for travel time, yeah. It's basically the mass times the distance over time. Yeah, I could have calculated speed, and then yeah, cruise speed is also just yeah. Okay, yeah, no, it's the same calculation. No problem. Okay, so now we have fuel use, we have delta V, we have hull mass at least, and then the next bit would be storage. Right, so let's think about the storage. I'm also thinking about modules, or at least nodes. Right, so each node that Vulkan has attached to it would weigh something. Now, I'm not sure if I should just have... it's probably fine to just have that abstracted into these numbers. Because you're not adding and removing nodes, necessarily. Yeah, for now, let's keep it simple, right? Also, I'm not sure what these upgrades are going to do for me, really. Yeah, realistically, I don't know what the upgrades are actually for. But maybe at some point I can think of something they are for. Okay, and all of these numbers will change, obviously. Okay, but this should be enough to just get Vulkan to at least move, right? Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to create a Vulkan definition, I suppose. It's not quite a structure definition, it's its own thing. Right, this is a structure definition. So we need to create a Vulkan definition, I think. So I'll somehow just do that here. That's also an I definition. Okay. So the Vulkan definition should mirror the data in the SO in some way. So public int hull mass 1. Yeah, and these things are normally just get. Let's implement the definition at least. Oh, just interface implement. Okay. Yeah, it's just the ID. Well, the ID for Vulkan, I mean, it could really just return Vulkan, right? Don't really need that, but anyway. No, we're not setting that equal to anything just yet. Okay, and hull mass 3. Okay, so that's the first bit. I guess we could just copy most of this stuff, right? Fuel use. So we'll just do this get. Yeah, obviously this doesn't need to be here because it's not a scriptable object. Okay, but do the same thing all over here. like so. And then all we need to do additionally is public Vulkan definition. Okay, so we essentially just want all of these things to be put in again. Don't need the ID, we need all int. Right, that's where we start. And then we need the fuel use. Need engine delta V. Okay, then we need these lists. Tier 1. Tier 2 and time. Okay, then we just rename these to a 2. Tier 2, yes. And tier 3. Something like that. Okay, now we just need to set it all. So this dot whole mass 1. Hey, please figure it out. This dot fuel use. Okay, that was a little tedious, but it's done. Okay, so we have a Vulkan definition. And we have a scriptable object for Vulkan. So now we just need to make sure this gets created and given to Vulkan upon startup. Yeah, so this should be Vulkan. Let's make it definition. So this is a special type thing. It's a Vulkan definition. Not the same as all the other definitions, and we can create it, okay? So what I'll do now, do quick actions, and I'll just say generate or add it to Vulkan definition, CS. Okay. There we go. So we can actually just add it to Vulkan folder. There we go. Now I have the Vulkan definition. Okay, marvelous. And now we just need to go through and create these. So let's see. Okay, so it's a definition, so it's got this to runtime thing going on. And that is something we do at the game entry point. So we need to go add it to our definition SOs. Okay, so let's create the scriptable object then. Hello. Okay. Unsupported changes detected. Okay, you can do your thing. And we have this Vulcan's upgrade thing. Gonna rename it. Just Vulcan SO. Okay, so we got, I mean, it's fine, right? That's a bunch of extra data. So this game asset database, we basically need to make sure Vulcan SO is in here. Right, so we'll just add it. Add the Vulcan F. No, not that one. Okay, it's not picking it up. Oh wait, it's not a definition SO, right? Ah, okay, okay. That's right. Need to implement this I definition to runtime thing, right? So we need to return new Vulcan definition. Right, is that how we do it? I don't really remember. Okay, we pass it in manually, yes. Okay, so we do return new definition and we tell it, okay, all the stuff you need. So you need whole mass 1, whole mass 2, whole mass 3. You need fuel use, engine delta V, tier 1 resources. Almost. Almost did it for me. But not quite. Okay, and then finally, tier 3. Oh no, there is the upgrade time. Okay, what am I missing here? The resource amounts. Okay, now Vulkan is a definition SO. So we can save this and recompile, and it should be correct now. Should be able to add it here. Yeah, I should probably rename that to something else, but it is technically a Vulkan definition SO, I guess. And just want to check. So this is just called Vulkan now. Yo, Brody, how's it going, man? Good morning, afternoon, and evening to you as well. I have a feeling I'm gonna regret this naming. So let's just call it definition. Just like that, I suppose that's a good start. You dandy. Ah, it's fantastic. It is fantastic. Okay, but since the definition SO is in there, it should be possible when we do our game entry to access it through the definition database and use it to create Vulkan. So when we create Vulkan, what we should do here is not just get the structure definition, but also the Vulkan definition. Right, I think that's good. And we'll have a public Vulkan definition in there. Okay, and then when we start, we just need to set it. So Vulkan definition. This dot Vulkan definition is equal to Vulkan definition. Okay, that's it. So, and then okay, when we make Vulkan right here, we just need to also give it a Vulkan definition. Yeah, so we need to do definition database dot get Vulkan definition. I guess we need to give it an ID. So the ID for the Vulkan definition was nothing, apparently. Really? That seems strange. Pretty sure I gave it an ID. Oh, it's inheriting. Okay. That's where the ID comes from. ID sprite and then that abstract to runtime. Okay. So I need to give it an ID physically. No problem. I will do that. Finished with warnings. Yes, okay, I'm on it. Give me a minute. So Vulkan definition. Okay, so Vulkan. We'll just be straightforward about it. Yeah, because we have a structure definition called Vulkan, because it is a structure, but now we have this additional thing called a Vulkan definition, which is needed to get some other weird information about Vulkan that we don't need to know about any other structure. Okay. Okay, and the whole point of that is to be able to do the travel for Vulkan, right? So when we travel through the solar system, we need to do similar things to what the ship is doing, where it's, you know, calculating things and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so most of this is very similar. Okay, so what we'll need, let's just get the distance. Okay, so the distance we can do in a very similar way, I think. So let's go math dot. Okay. So let's see, we have a target region dot AU distance, okay, minus my current AU, essentially, right? Vulkan keeps track of where it is at all times, so that makes that part very simple. Okay, so that's straightforward. Okay, float total mass. Okay, so this is now where we get into things, right? So I'd probably have to keep track of something like Vulkan's level, right? Call this the level or current tier or something like that. Well, I call it a tier in all of this stuff, so we'll just keep it a tier. Okay, so current tier equals 1, I would say, and we could just do get private set for now. Okay, so current tier is equal to 1, and the idea would then be that when we calculate our total mass, that's kind of awkward. Yeah, because our Vulkan definition yeah, we just need to get one of these masses. So I need a function of some sort to get this. Ugh. So I don't really want to do it here. I just want to ask this thing, what is your current whole mass or something like that. Yeah, so let's just do that. This is I could do this. Public int get whole mass. Right, and we put in int tier. And then we could do if statements or switch statements or whatever. So we could do switch tier case 1 return whole mass 2 case 2 return whole mass 2 and then case 3. Why does it do this with the spacing? Okay. And yeah, that's it. That's all 3 cases there can be. And I suppose default return nothing, which is a problem in itself, but it's okay, whatever. Maybe we just return whole mass 1 for case default. Just as a safeguard. Right, so total mass would then be equal to Vulkan definition dot get whole mass, and we put in Vulkan dot current tier. Okay, so it's that plus, and this is now where it gets interesting. So technically what I would like to do is I would like to access the storage, right? And get all the storage. So we have a max capacity and we have a current capacity. So capacity minus max capacity is essentially what I would need. Add resource amount greater than capacity. Our capacity goes down, and then when we remove resources, we add to our capacity. Yeah. Brody? I've been using ChatGPT, but it's more for ideation or potentially just helping me debug stuff. or when I want to learn something, right? So that's basically how I do most of it. The stuff I've asked it to write for me, I've since then completely rewritten anyway. Because I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. I'm not saying it was wrong. I didn't understand all of it necessarily. So I just wrote it in my own dumb way. It also tends to do very enterprisey things, if that makes sense. Because it seems to think, there's a correct way to write certain things or to structure your code. Which I guess there might be, but it follows principles that I don't really know or am familiar with. Yeah. No, exactly. It's impossible to debug if you don't understand the code. Yeah, so the latest thing I made it write for me is just this. I asked it to write, no, not this one. This is hot reload. Oops. this thing. Which all I said was, look, I need to log things into the Unity console. Give me a logger that can do that, or something like that. So I just spit out this. So technically, it wrote all of this. I didn't even edit this, but this is such a simple little, quick thing that I didn't really care. So now all I do is I just listen to this message in Unity, and then I think it's in here. Yeah, you see, I do log.message, and then I just log the message, and then I just use Unity, the debug.log, so that the logs get into the console. That's the only thing I did. I also made it write a little script for placing these asteroids. But I feel like this is the kind of thing that it's very limited in scope. It doesn't touch all the various systems in your game. It's actually just a utility or a tool, right? So I can explain to it what I want. It's like, oh, I want to add asteroid prefabs for the asteroid belt. It needs to have a minimum, maximum radius, density, blah, 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 amount of asteroids. And then it spits out a tool that helps me place these. Because placing this by hand is obviously insane. You won't do that. Yeah, I like using it. Well, not always, but sometimes for tooling. Just because it's contained, right? It's not gonna bleed into your game necessarily or affect anything that's important at the end of the day, or that makes that is part of a bigger system. Like this tool, I can delete it now and it won't change anything, right? It's just a tool, and that's the way I feel about AI. What I do like about it is I literally have, so I'm not doing anything right now, but I have this folder where I just ask it things about Unity and C#. So here I was contemplating upgrading to version 6.5. So I was like, listen, what is actually the benefit of going from 6 to 6.5? And it told me all the new things that is there, and because it has some context about what I'm trying to build in terms of the game, it could say, look, none of these new features are going to make a difference for your type of game. And I agreed with it, so I didn't upgrade. Or, yes, one thing that I wanted to learn how garbage collection works. So I asked it, what is garbage collection? How does that work? And then, normally these chats, they start off with something like that, and then I get sidetracked because it says something, then I ask it something else, and then if I know it, it's a massive back and forth. It gives me little example code snippets of stuff. Oh yeah, because here I wasn't sure if garbage collection works with events. So if you register to an event, does that mean the thing that you registered to would never go away? It would never go into garbage? Stuff like that, right? Because I don't know. I just don't understand. Oh, and this type of thing where I get a random error that I don't understand. I just paste the whole error and it's like, this seems like this type of thing. Maybe check that. And I'm like, shit, that makes sense. Yeah, one thing that is annoying, when I ask it stuff about the UI toolkit, so the USS, right? It would recommend stuff, and then nothing works. And then I'm like, okay, but this doesn't work. And then at some point it's like, oh yes, that's because I gave you the method for CSS, and not Unity's USS, which is a subset of CSS. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, but geez, you know what I'm doing here. Why are you making me code stuff that will never work anyway? Yeah, but that's how it is, right? And the funniest thing is when I do, occasionally I would also talk to it about design stuff, right? Game design, or I find it very useful to talk out loud about an idea I have. Then it summarizes it, or it counters it with an additional idea or something additional, whatever. But even if my ideas are contradicting, it just goes with it every single time. It never pushes back. So it's like, oh yes, that is so much better than whatever my previous idea was, which was absolutely stupid. Okay, it doesn't use that language, but it's kind of frustrating. Like I can talk to it about a system implementation, change my mind completely, and whatever I change my mind to is automatically, according to it, the best thing ever. And I can do that multiple times, and it just reinforces what I'm currently working on as being the best thing. And that's kind of annoying, I'll be honest. It'll push back on technical things, I've noticed. But it's kind of like, I think it's a people pleaser. But I think that's the whole point of ChatGPT, right? It's not that concerned about making it about being correct. It's more concerned about continual use. And if it makes you feel good, you will continue using it. It makes you feel like the smartest person in the world, right? Okay. Let's go to... Oh yes, I wanted to do something with my storage. Yeah, so I'm thinking Total Mass should have storage in there. Somehow. Yeah. Didn't I open this already? I'm sure I did. Ah, maybe I didn't open it. I was just previewing it. Okay. So, essentially what I would like to get here is get public void, no, public int, get total storage amount, and it returns max capacity minus current, no, capacity. Yeah, that should work because they both start at the same number. So let's say 10,000, and then the capacity goes down as I add things, right? Which means if it goes down to 9,000, that means the total amount that I have stored is whatever my maximum was minus the current capacity. Yeah, so that should work if I didn't get lazy with the capacity thing, because I think I started with having capacities and then I kind of forgot about it, and maybe some of the new functions don't actually add or remove capacity. Not sure. Yeah, I just made the capacity massive. Yeah, but this should work technically still, but yeah. We'll have to come and fix that, I guess, at some point. Okay, but for now we can do Vulkan. Okay, so we need to add Vulkan.storage get total storage amount. Right. That should do it for total mass. Okay, then we need to figure out our speed. Okay, and that's this number here. It's just 0.5 now, apparently. Okay, so our speed will be equal to... So, this should just be something like... Oh, it's just this run, right? It's the fuel use times delta V over total mass. Yeah, so we're gonna go Vulcan definition dot fuel use times Vulcan dot delta V. Yeah, I just need to make sure these things are all floats, because if you multiply... This is a float. Yes. Multiply and divide. Yeah, total mass, which is a float, right? So that should be fine. Okay, so we set our speed to some new thing. Depending on how much fuel we can use, our Vulcan definition, engine, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now here's another interesting thing. If we start travel... and we actually use fuel, we should check if we have fuel. Yeah, because it'll just... Fuel use is now not actually removing fuel. Yeah, so what we should first do is we should check our fuel consumption, or fuel amount, right? So Vulcan.storage, no, not state, storage dot check enough resources, I think. Yeah, what do we need to add here? An ID for a string. So this is volatile matter and the amount, which is just gonna be this amount, right? Okay, so that'll return true, I suppose. And if it returns true, we continue. Otherwise, we just return for now, so we don't move. If we can't have the fuel. I don't always like putting the strings in here, but... Let's see, when I refill my ships... Yeah, I also do volatile matter. Yeah, let's just make sure I'll copy that in there. Okay. Volatile. Ah, not volatile, volatile. I think. I hope that's spelled correctly, otherwise that's going to be very embarrassing. My whole game uses volatile now. Okay, anyway, so if we have enough resources, we can continue. So the first thing we should do then is goes... well... Not storage, dot remove resources, right? Because if we're gonna burn this fuel... we don't need to add it to the calculation for the total mass, right? It's fuel, we're burning it, it's fine. Okay, so now we can move. Here we have a speed. We set our target region. Our starting position. La 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 la. I guess that's it. Right, because now, since we changed our speed, it's used here to calculate our movement. Okay, that seems reasonable. Now, in the future, let's do a to-do here. We should be able to use different types of fuel. Right, the volatile matter is a fuel, but it's only the first fuel that we can use. Later, you could use industrial chemicals or advanced propellants or something like that, I think I call it. I don't remember. But yeah, so there's definitely... for now, we could just use volatile matter for everything, because I haven't really thought about how to implement this fuel system. What I'm thinking is perhaps the fuel use gets an offset, or maybe the delta V gets an offset or something like that. So somehow it's more efficient to burn the better fuels, or it makes you faster or something like that. But I haven't decided. Okay. Anyway, I think that's it. I think we should be able to test this now. All right, let's give it a go. Okay, let's just recompile. Because I think that's a old error. Yeah, that's some kind of an old error. Okay, let's play. See where my null reference exception errors pop up, or if there aren't any. Whoops, yeah, no, there's many of them. Okay. Given key Vulkan definition was not present in the dictionary. Okay, so right here. So it wasn't added to the definition database. That's interesting. I'm sure it's part of the database asset though. It's in definition SOs. I guess it might have been a typo. Okay, it is there. That is this one. Okay, so it is being added correctly. So it is part of the game database asset, which is here. Yeah, all these other errors are probably coming from that one. Yeah, let's say when we create it, we give it that thing. Huh. Okay, so the definition SO, that one is fine. Maybe it's this. I need to put in the ID. I need to put in the ID. Ah. Okay, so ID like that. Yeah, I never created the ID. Okay, I think now that's good. Yeah, I didn't think about the ID because general stats. Okay, well, whatever. Because it's actually part of the definition SO, so it lives over here, not over here. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So there wasn't an ID, it was just a blank thing. I understand. Oh, no, I did give it an ID. Okay, whatever. Let's just try it again. I think this is correct now. Value cannot be null, okay. Which value is that? Ah, okay, now I know exactly what I did. So right here I gave the ID, but I didn't do this dot ID equals ID. Man, why is this so hard? Jeez, like it. Now, I don't know if it actually saved. Ah, it did. Okay, fantastic. Things are working slightly. Okay, so if I try to move now, so we can keep... what is my fuel use, actually? So 250, so I don't know if we'll see the fuel go down. We should. Oh, look at that. Okay, the fuel went down, and we are moving at a snail's pace. You know what that means? We're not using nearly enough fuel, or we are just incredibly heavy. I guess we are incredibly heavy because I started with a ton of resources. Now that I think about it, we should actually give the player the option to use more fuel, right? If you think about it, because if you want to move fast while having a massive amount of cargo, why not, right? I could just let you do that. Damn. I think that's faster, but it's still pretty atrocious. I don't think that's good gameplay. Somehow I don't think the player is going to appreciate that kind of movement speed. And I mean, we're just going from Earth to Mars. This is going to be real-time travel. Okay, so let's make this 250 still. Let's just make the Delta V 50 for now. So that's quite a bit higher. But I think this should work. But what I should do actually is give the player the option to change that. Yeah, okay, so that's more reasonable, I would say. We're still using the same amount of fuel, but we are significantly faster because our engines are insane. Yeah, so I think we should... give the player the option of increasing fuel use for travel, and also to stop midway and then potentially turn around. Or just change the trajectory entirely. Okay. So I think that's the next bit. So we'll go to our to-do list. And we'll say, okay, so we consume fuel now. Same as the ship, prevent... Okay, we prevent movement if insufficient fuel. Okay, so that's all fine. But what I think we should do now is give the player option of amount, or let player set amount of fuel used. Actually, now that I'm thinking about this, perhaps we do a pop-up on destination selected, right? And then in the pop-up we say ETA, so estimated time, travel time, estimated travel time, and then we have a fuel used, right? And then we can do something like increase fuel used to decrease travel time, something like that. So as soon as you click I want to go here, it's like, okay, cool, you want to go here, confirm, or something like that. It also helps with maybe this anchoring system where when you want to move somewhere you need to unanchor or de-anchor or undock. I'm going to have to use a different word for this because I don't think you unanchor like that. Okay, but we can do something like this. So we estimate the travel time. So we do that calculation for the player with the fuel use that it's currently set at. And when you update this number, it will increase or decrease the travel time based on what you set it to. And then it could remember your fuel use from your previous setting. That feels more elegant, especially for Vulkan. Unanchor, detach. Yeah. I mean, that is effectively what it does, right? But see, this is now one of those perfect situations where you go to ChatGPT and be like, I want to unanchor or anchor and unanchor my spaceship. Give me a better word for that. It's probably going to be something like you are docking and undocking, or deploy and maybe pack up. I don't know. It doesn't matter right now. I'll just use whatever words I feel like at the moment. Okay. Yeah, I like this. So if we let the player set the fuel amount used, but we give it a little pop-up with time and some other estimates, I think that'll be clean. That means I need to build UI. Ugh. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna go grab me a coffee, and when I come back, I'll start building this UI. I think that's fine. So I will see you in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. Got some coffee. Okay. So, we need to build some UI, unfortunately. So that means we need to open good old Paint. And of course, Paint is very blinding at the moment. Let's do something about that. Okay. That's a little better. Okay. So what I'm thinking is it shouldn't be too complicated, but I have a little rectangle pop up, right? And I think we do. It'd be kind of cool. Like maybe there's just a confirm travel, like a heading of some sort. So this is your confirmed travel pop-up, right? Make it a little bigger. Confirmed travel. For crying out loud. Oh, for crying out loud. Why is this so hard sometimes? Flip it. Nah, that's not what I want to do. That's also not what I do. Black. Why is it not selecting? What the hell? Okay, let's try this again. So, confirm Ravel. Right, so this is the little pop-up that comes up. And I think it would be kind of cool if it gave me something like, you know, Earth to Jupiter. Something like that as like the sub. So I can see where am I currently, where am I trying to go, right? And then it needs to do a few other things, like it needs to tell me, you know what, kind of cool, total mass. Now, I'm not sure if I need this type of things, if the player wants to understand why the travel is taking the time it takes. But let's say this is 5,000, right? And then we can say something like delta V. Not sure if that's the correct term. It might be. I don't know. I'll figure this out. But let's say delta V is 2.5, right? Okay, then we can do something like, oh, and this is actually a good idea because right now, we can actually select the fuel type. Because remember, I said we should make it possible for you to select your fuel type, right? So this will be, that's just information. It shows you you're trying to move a substantial amount of weight. Then you see your delta V, which can change based on the fuel type. And perhaps you can also see your travel time. Right, yeah, okay, so let's put the stuff we can change down below. And then we can put the information that you get. Or, yeah, this type of information can be total mass, delta V. And then finally, we can have a travel time or... "15 days. I actually don't know how I'm gonna measure time. I feel like this is gonna be too cramped already. I keep doing this where I want to put everything next to each other and then it completely bombs out. So I just don't have that much space in that direction. It's easier to make a list of things than it is to make it very wide. But I can try. see what I can do. But anyway, travel time. You know, depending on how the game works, but let's say it's seconds for now. 50 seconds. That doesn't seem right, so let's call it days. Right, we'll say the game works in days, so that seems a little bit more realistic. So fuel type, this will be a drop down, so you can go volatile matter. You can go industrial chemicals, or you can go, I think it's advanced repellents. Right, those are your fuel types. Vroom, yes, indeed. And then you can say fuel burn or fuel amount. Something like that. And here you put like, I want to burn 1,000 fuel. And based on the numbers you put in there, this will update and this will update. So your delta V, so effectively how efficient the engines are going to be, is going to be based on the fuel types. So volatile matter versus industrial chemicals versus advanced propellants, one being better than the others, obviously. And then the travel time can go down because you select a better fuel, but the amount of fuel that you want to use can also go down. Yeah, this should be named something else, not just fuel amount, like fuel burn amount or something like that. And then right at the bottom, I suppose we'll have a button. That's not a button at all. Which is just the go button, right? Fuel consumption, yes, that's probably the word I was looking for. A go button, right? Yes, fuel consumption. Let's do this. I mean, fuel that's how much you get. That's how much you use. It should almost be like how much you want to use. So, you know, you could almost like set fuel for whatever, fuel consumption. There should be a P here. Fuel consumption. Yes. 5,000. Why not? Yeah. So about something like this. So we need to confirm travel. We want to go from Earth to Jupiter. Total mass, so that's how much we want to move. 5,000. Delta V, 2.5. Travel time, 50 days. Changing the fuel type or the fuel consumption will affect these two things. And then we can click the go button. Right. Now, one thing to consider here as well is the whole anchoring and unanchoring situation. Right. And I'm not sure how exactly I want to do that, because the idea would be that if there is some activity currently still underway, like let's say you had an import request, so a bunch of ships were launched from Mercury and they're inbound to Earth. They're gonna deliver some materials to Vulcan. Right? I feel like you shouldn't be able to move before the delivery has been completed. Right? So somewhere here, we should maybe give the player some info and something like shipments inbound. Right, just so we can see, oh wait, we have shipments coming. Right, shipments inbound. Can't travel now. Right. Or, before you can confirm travel, maybe you need to undock first, right? So you need to do the whole docking thing. So maybe that's a separate thing. You need to undock or unanchor. You need to raise the anchor, which means nothing in space, but anyway. So you raise the anchor. Therefore, you don't worry about shipments anymore, or at least if you raise the anchor, you can give the player something like a pop-up like this that just forces him to wait for a bit until all the shipments have arrived, but that it effectively stops all imports and exports. All the shipments arrive, anchor is raised, or docking is completed, right? Then from there, the button for travel appears, or the ability to travel appears. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Let's. I'll just put this to the side here as my reference. And let's build it. So the first thing we need to decide is, where will this bit of UI live? Right, so we have various places for UI to live. I kind of want to make it live not in the Vulkan panel necessarily. Maybe as part of the persistent panel. So this is basically our main screen, right? Yeah, I think actually this thing has a top bar, and yeah, that gives me the Vulkan stuff. What is the Vulkan panel then? Oh geez, this is just some old thing that I'm not using anymore. Okay. So that is not a UI that works. Okay, so we have, this is our overview, our persistent panel view. Right, and we have these bars. The top bar and the sidebar. Okay, so where would I potentially put buttons relating to Vulkan and Vulkan's docking status? Yo, Damon, how's it going? What is that? What did you do, Damon? Are you breaking YouTube chat? So it says, oh yeah, but as soon as I hover over it, it says, yo. What the hell is this? I don't know if you can see that. Oh yeah, and then yo. I don't know if this is too small. I don't even know how to make it bigger. Go bigger. Yeah, look at that. How did you do that? Consider enlarging the player's UI. Yeah, I mean, the UI is probably going to be changing a lot still. You can think of the current UI as the development UI or the debug UI or something like that. It's not the player's UI. This is the developer's UI. It's a completely different thing. Okay, but what is this character? Is this like a... Is it a Japanese character for Yo? Or is it an emoji that I don't have? Maybe that's the case. Okay, but how do you, like, now you're making the same character sometimes have 4 O's, sometimes 3. How do you do that then? Like, surely you can't do that if it's just a different language. It doesn't, I don't think it works that way. This is some okay, so you don't know yourself how it goes from 4 O's to 3 O's. That's pretty interesting. Okay, let's reset the chat signs and stick it back in its rightful place. Okay, now I opened up all the emotes here. Let's close that as well. Okay. So, UI. I think I kind of feel like this could come from here, potentially. A little block that grows out of the Vulkan overview thing. Maybe. Right, for now, at least. For confirming travel or whatever. So maybe I put the dock, undock, whatever buttons there. You mean this panel here? Yeah, it brings it over. So it's not all... Oh, you can do like... Yeah, that would be kind of nice. So it's maybe just a bunch of icons, right? Not the words and all the other garbage. Only when you click on something or you have something selected that you need the information for. I've also been thinking about not using UI, these panels so aggressively. So I'm actually thinking of making things in the world interactable instead. Because I think that's just more satisfying. So if you look at like one of these, I don't know. These stations, right? You click on the station or you click on a section of the station and that brings up menus for research or whatever the case. You're not clicking the research button on the side. Yeah, it's not that difficult, right? I've essentially done something like that already. Because when you play the game, you can click on planets and stuff. Right, so if I click on a planet, it takes me to the planet. So I could just have that same click functionality, or if I click on Vulkan, right, I select Vulkan. I can construct a logistics hub as well, and an outpost, for instance. And now if I click here, I open the outpost menu at the side here. But what I would think is better is instead of just opening a list of nodes available to the outpost, you click on the outpost, it maybe brings up a little overview of the outpost, and then you can click physically on the outpost itself somewhere, instead of going through a list like this of nodes. Just be better. Yeah, I think the sidebar thing is something I kind of did at the start. And I'm slowly moving away from it because it is kind of limiting. I don't want to replicate. I also don't want to replicate like the UI for Stellaris or something, right? I mean, that game is literally just windows everywhere. I want you to be interacting with the actual elements in the game, like the stations and the whatever. And not just opening and closing windows. You shouldn't feel like you're managing a file explorer or, on Windows desktop or anything like that. The World UI via Toolkit. Yeah, I mean, I could. But we'll see, right? It's a work in progress. Currently, what I think I'm gonna do is I'll finish the last bit of functionality that I wanted to add to Vulkan, because Vulkan is very incomplete currently, and it's like it's your main character, right? Then I'd probably want to do something like get some footage, make a devlog of the shitty UI the way it's currently, but most of the systems work. And so I can make my nice devlog or whatever. Hopefully, I say I'm gonna make a devlog, but we all know that it takes time and it's a lot of work, so I might never make the devlog. I hope I do. But then I'm going to aggressively start fixing the UI and the experience that the user has. So I'll be adding, improving UI, adding more feedback, sound effects, whatever, so that the game actually starts feeling a little bit more satisfying to interact with. And then I'll make another devlog, and the difference is going to be insane. Okay, so somewhere here, I think, is a good place to stick an additional window for now, just to have... yeah, okay, now we'll put the button there, and then we'll do a pop-up in the middle of the screen. I think that's even better. Yeah, I think that's even better. So, let's do that. So, we'll stick a visual element somewhere. No, I did not update to 6.5. I was thinking about it, but ultimately it doesn't seem to really be that useful. I don't know. Is there anything I should know about that's super good or required or whatever? Okay, position absolute. Okay, so where is it currently? It's right there. Okay, now wait, maybe we put this right there. Right, because then we can at least have it be like 100% of the width. And then we don't have to worry about the width. I can make the height whatever I need it to be. Oh yeah, I saw they're gonna use entities exclusively. You don't have to, it's basically just gonna be entities by default. You don't have to be a special entity guy to be knowing how that works, right? I know they also fixed, or they are working on UI Toolkit, I guess. That is improving or changing somehow, but I don't know if I'm really that concerned. About the new things that it does. I don't know if it's really relevant to what I'm doing. Okay, something like this should be okay. So now we have this holder here and we can stick some buttons into it. A button. And the button makes the whole thing full. Oh, they're planning on getting rid of the massive domain reload stuff. So all this reloading that you see every time you open and close your code editor. Every time I close something and I made a space, it reloads for 20 seconds. Oh, wow. I just, like, the last time I did an update, I lost, like, a bunch of work. So things broke, and then I'm afraid now. And it doesn't feel like there's many things that'll benefit this game that I'm working on currently in any meaningful way. So I don't know if it's worth it at the moment. Yeah, I guess I could do that, but still. Okay, so what did we decide on for the anchoring and de-anchoring? Okay, let's call this the anchoring button. Docking, anchoring. Ah, jeez. Yeah, currently Unity is developing their engine faster than I'm developing my game. So I'm happy on version 6. You know, for somebody like me, I'd probably upgrade to 6.5, spend a couple of days fixing the bugs, and then I won't even notice the difference. It's like... So what's the point? Unanchor. I guess that's a word. I don't know. So this could be my anchoring button, right? Something like that. And then the words, this could be... Oh, wait, I renamed the wrong thing. Ah, for crying out loud. This is the anchoring button. Anchor in region. Anchor in region. Something like that. This is going to be an ugly button. I don't think I need to fix it right now. To make the text a little bit bigger. Anchor in region. Something like that. I saw the instance ID thing. Yeah, so I do, Damon, I do update my version 6 somewhat regularly. I won't say every Thursday. But I do check if there's a version 6.0, if there's something that I can update to. I do that sometimes. But I don't jump to 6.3 or 6.5. That seems unnecessary. The instance ID thing I also think is going to break some of my code, because I have, when I import my CSVs and generate my scriptable objects for this game, I actually do use instance IDs to find the scriptable objects. Let me see. There's probably a way around it. I think Git Amend has a good video about it. I don't know if this is the if this uses instance IDs. I'm actually not sure. Like, I don't know if this would break. Asset database, find assets. This, what does this give you? Find assets. An array containing GUIDs. I'm assuming these are instance IDs. Right? I assume this is an instance ID. Yeah, I don't use... I find the scriptable objects useful just for serializing my data. I know I could do it in other ways, but I feel like I understand that one the best, so I just went with it. So I have this thing where I load a CSV, and then I take the CSV and I make a scriptable object out of the CSV. And I know this is a lot of stuff that I don't want to have breaking. It's like this thing has gotten pretty massive. Okay, anyway, so anchor in region. Okay, so this is just a button to anchor or de-anchor or unanchor or anti-anchor. Anchoring button, and we'll find it and change it somehow in the future. The next thing I want to add is maybe the pop-up holder or something like that. Right, so we can do a visual element. Yeah, I don't think I use, you save a lot of memory just loading data from a string. I suppose, potentially. The reason I'm using the scriptable objects, if I'm honest, is mostly for sprites. Right, so if you look at one of my scriptable objects, let's say it's a module. We have a gas turbine module. So it's got all the data associated with the gas turbine, which lives in my spreadsheet. But this thing, I want the sprites for the gas turbine to be assigned as well. Right, and I don't know if there's any way of doing that in a different way. There probably is, but I kind of like doing this because it's readable to me as the developer. I understand what's going on here. Because it's a clear representation of what a gas turbine is supposed to be. Easy to debug and understand what I'm seeing. I feel like it's... I'm saying everybody's feeling like this, but I definitely feel like this. So, yeah. Okay, anyway. So this visual element, I think it should just be... Okay, so this is my pop-up. Pop-up holder, I guess. So the pop-ups will come live here somewhere. And let's see... Should they be... Okay, so obviously we should probably make this absolute. And maybe make it stretch the entire screen like this. So the pop-up can overlay everything else. And then what I can do is maybe I can make it, just some percentage from each side. Like 20% from each side. So the pop-up will only appear somewhere here. Alright, that's... yeah, RAM costs are ridiculous. That and storage costs. I lost a 1 terabyte SSD, NVMe, or M.2, whatever the flippin' SSD the other day. And to replace it, it would cost 3 to 4 times what it did when I bought it originally, which is just stupid. It would be almost half the price of my graphics card. About, yeah, somewhere between a third and half the price of the graphics card for a terabyte M.2 SSD, which is just disgusting. Okay, so we can do the pop-up holder in here. Now, I feel like I want to make the pop-up its own UXML thing, but I can come stick it in here later. So let's go File, New, and then we can do Save, and we'll save this as Travel Vulkan Travel Pop-up. Yeah, why not? Okay, then we'll add our root container, because that contains all our default classes. Okay, and so let's think about the size of this thing. Will be whatever it needs to be, I guess. Okay, so let's start building. So first of all, there's going to be a label of some sort here. I guess I should probably make the root container do I put a visual element first? Maybe. This is something like my background, and we can make it just the whole thing. Yeah. And we'll make it just black. Oh, not black, but where the hell is the background color? Hello? Border back. Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, black. We'll just change the alpha, but let's make it a 55. That seems just about right. Something like that. We could even give it a border. Make it 2 pixels wide. Why not? I'm crazy. 2 pixel wide black border. There we go. Boom. That's our pop-up. Okay. So this is going to be the confirm travel. Confirm travel pop-up, right? So that's our confirm travel right there. Let's see. I'll make this bigger. 28 is a reasonable size, I've decided. We center that, obviously, so confirm travel. I should probably, with this background, put some padding in here. 5 pixels, just to have the things off the sides a bit. I'm gonna hate myself later when I have to do the localization, but it's okay. It's okay. So this is just the heading. Confirm Ravel heading. Okay, what did we say then? Something like, okay. Then I wanted a visual element. And this one would have 2 labels and another visual element inside, right? Like this. And everything will be looking to the side. Like so. And the whole thing will be substantially smaller. So no shrinking or growing for you. You're going to just be the size I'm going to make you now. 35 pixels. That's perfect. Okay, make it full. Okay, you need to be some kind of an arrow. So let's just go get texture 2D arrow. Oh, look at all my arrows. Jeez. Damn. Got some good looking arrows right here. Why are these pointing down? How do I rotate the texture? Oh, that's not at all what I thought was going to happen. It keeps the size? That's so weird. I didn't think transforming that does that. Is there any way to rotate textures? Maybe I need to select a sprite. Maybe there's an arrow sprite instead. Oh, look at that. They are. I actually don't know if I can rotate these either, but you know. Sprite editor. Order pivot center. I don't really want to edit the sprite, to be honest. Let's see how to rotate sprite in UI toolkit. Probably going to tell me I can't. I thought so. So they tell me the best way is to go down here to transform and rotate it by the amount you need. I'm just the sizing is just what's kind of bugging me right now. I'm not a fan of what it's doing with the size of this sprite. You know what? That doesn't look too bad. I'll live with that. Okay. Create new USS. We'll stick you in there. This is gonna be my Vulcan travel pop-up USS. Yes. Yeah, and I'll call these things Shin. Location. Location. Label. Okay, whatever. It's a location label now. So you are a location label, and you are a location label. What? Yes. I don't understand. What is it doing? Eh? Okay, location label, location label. Okay. That's so weird. But anyway. Okay, so the location label. Okay, so we just want the text to be centered. Well, that doesn't really matter. But let's center it. Make it slightly bigger. 18? I don't know. Doesn't have to be massive, right? Okay, and then we need to make this thing arrange all its stuff a little bit differently. I don't know which one of this it is. Not that one, apparently. Oh no. That's bad. Okay, so what is happening to the... Where's the visual element going? Oh, it's being squashed. Okay, so we don't want that. Okay, that's fine. This is the one, I think. Okay, let's just do something like that, and let's unset that. Okay. That's a little better. Okay, let's make it... so this thing is 35, so let's make it a 30 by 30 arrow. Yeah, that looks better. Yeah, something like that. Okay, confirm travel. There we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, so the idea would be the location labels. Maybe they have some padding and stuff. Just so they don't touch. I don't know, 20. Ah, this is such a frustrating thing. I know now why. So one of these labels I need to do dot unity. Need to do something like that before they take any of those. Yeah. Yeah, but that's kind of the idea. Okay, and then label 1 can say something like, just for now, we're going from Earth to Jupiter. Maybe we make these labels a fixed size rather than doing spacing. So 100, I don't know. Yeah, maybe 100, and then we just center the text. Okay, so that's potentially a problem. When you have longer texts, maybe... Okay, yeah, so this might not be a good idea. Not... Yeah, it's better if it moves then. And then we give it some padding and stuff instead. We'll do 10 there and 10 there. Yeah, it's better if the arrow moves up because we have a long name. Okay, so that's fine. Now, if this is now asteroid belt 1 to asteroid belt 2. Okay, it actually still fits. Okay, so for whatever the size is that I'm working with currently, which is 350, it seems okay. Okay, so that's the first thing. So we'll call this the current location label, and this is the destination location label. Okay, and then this is just an arrow. I don't care about the arrow. Arrow can just be there. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so now we want to have some additional stats. Yeah. So something just like Vulcan. Well, let's call this travel information. Okay, so that's our travel information. And the travel information is going to contain a couple of visual elements as rows, essentially. And I'll call this the total mass row. This is going to be my delta V row. And finally, my travel. Something like that. So that's my information. Okay, and each one of these, I guess what would be good if we have a information row element, well, selector, so we can do something like just, stick it on there. Right, you guys are all information rows now. Yes. If I need to... I don't think I want to do anything with him. Nah, honestly, I don't know. Okay, but then we want labels inside of here. And this is going to be... info heading label. Okay. And what we can do here is we can do info heading. Right, and we can add it like so. It should actually be inside of the row. Yeah, but we can make a few of these because each of them will have an info heading, right? Okay, that's the first thing. And then they'll also have the actual information label. Okay, so info label, that would be this one over here. So this one we can call the total mass label. Right, we can duplicate this in there, and again, there, but this is now going to be the Delta V label. And this is going to be the travel time label. Okay, but they all, yeah, everything's connected correctly. Okay, so now what we can do is we just grab that thing and we can go ahead, find the button. So these rows need to work like this. Somehow the Delta V row decided it's not an information row anymore. Okay, now it is. Okay, so something like that. And we can also set, I think, the headings. Okay, well, let's type in the headings. Okay, so this is the total mass. Right, this one will be the Delta V. Maybe we put a dash there. Delta V. Seems cooler. Okay. And this one will be the travel time. Okay. Something like so. Delta V. Come on. Okay. I like that. So now we can do info heading. What I can do, I kind of feel like it needs to be 50% of the total width, right? And then these labels will be numbers. Okay, yeah, something like that. Okay, all the travel information totaling. So yeah, this thing should not grow. Yeah, it should be something like that. Total mass and label. Now, space them out a little bit more. I kind of feel like do I want to do that? That seems bad. So the travel information in general seems like I could easily bring it in 20%. Now what, let's make it 10%. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do actually, I'm gonna take these ones and I'm gonna stick them to the side. Right, and I'm gonna make them grow. So they always fill this space. Okay, and then these ones, you see, they all need to be exactly the same size at all times. So it might be better to just have the info label be a set size and not have it grow. Yeah, that's probably better. Like we can make it 50 or something like that. And then we can have these ones grow like that. And then we can even tell the label to put the text on that side. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, and then this label could be like 5,000 kilograms. I don't know. This one could be 0.75. This one could be 52 days. Right, yeah, that looks fine. Okay, so that's some of the information we can see when we confirm our travel time. Okay, do I still have coffee? Oh. Very cold, but it's coffee. Okay, so the next thing is where it gets a little bit more interesting. So we can select our fuel type. I'm kind of wondering, should this be a drop down or a tick box? I've no idea. Okay, so this would be the fuel selection. Okay, and so that's what we do there. Now, yeah, and then we'll have another one, which is fuel use or consumption or something like that. I'll think about a name at some point for that one. Okay, so this one, actually, we can put a... where's this thing? I have a selector element. Do I not make it a... Oh, it's not a UXML element because the constructor needs a ridiculous amount of things. Yeah, okay. Needs all of this. I suppose we can make a second constructor that doesn't need all of that. Not too sure what I want to do with this. Okay. I think I want to use the icon selector, but I'm either going to have to plug it in programmatically with C#, which is fine. I do that all the time anyway. But I'm pretty sure there's an element that I use this with already. Is it my... I think it's my production behavior element. Maybe not. Construction node. Is it the construction node? So here, okay, I make a space for it. Okay, maybe that's what I did. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I added a space for it. I don't think this is actually the icon selector, is it? Well, it might be. It could be. Yeah, okay, but this is a custom element, and I think I generate this thing using... I just pass in some empty things here. I wonder if I could do... If I can do public icon selector with just nothing. Like, not setting anything. I don't know if that's gonna work really. If you just do something like this. Don't think we need to set the value. We're still gonna have to initialize or set this thing somehow. Yeah. Okay, but I think I need to go. It's almost 8 o'clock, which means work time for me. More work time, other types of work time. So guys, thank you so much for joining in today. I'll probably get back to this today at some point, and then I'll finish this or fix this or whatever I need to do. But for now, I'll see you next time. Cheers. Wrong screen, this one.